Another night in our historic Super El Nino, pretty much. And Alpha Philly made landfall about 5 o'clock in the morning uh, over North Carolina. Has moved northwestward through North Carolina into Virginia. Has lost tropical characteristic. And now a post-tropical cyclone. Winds are 30 knots, moving 360 by 7 knots. And yeah, it's gonna stay post-tropical and dissipate in 36 hours. Um, and as you can see, that's the track currently. Models pretty much take it to the east after moving north to the northeast and pretty much swing to the southeast. It's potential it could redevelop what's back over ocean. We'll have to see. Here's the system. Made landfall about in here. And lots of rain, wind, about 70 miles per hour. Next is Philippines. It was upgraded about 6 hours ago. It was 97L, I think. Um, has a LSC about right in here. There's quite a bit of shear. There's a trough to the east. Um, so we're not expecting a lot of strength out of it over the next couple of days. ANC thinks it should strengthen to about 60 knots in 5 days. I agree. Um, to westward at 12 knots. And we'll move west northwestward, then northwestward into the weakness. And it should stay well away from the islands. Another Nigel. Another Nigel. I mean, which is the typical pattern of this season. Here's the models. Any credible model takes it way north of the islands. GFS enablers, we curve it. GEPS mostly does that. Intensity models show 45 to 50 knots. I'll go on the high end, maybe close to Cat 1. Um, Lastly, we got another system, which I'll see right here, taking, it's 14E. Has formed today in the Eastern Pacific. Um, Little change in the last few hours. Still a depression. Should strengthen to tropical storm, maybe 40 knots. Become a remnant in about 4 days. ANC is really not that um, hyping. I mean, bullish about this. They're bearish. I mean, should move west, west southwestward, in line with the models. Since the models don't really strengthen it. Well, the west of the lake got a little bit of a convection here. No development likely. That wave off of Africa, the NAC is given a 20% chance for this. We'll have to watch it. Some of the models have been hitting at something long term from it. I mean, let's go to 72 on the GFS. And her that is. Hers Philippi, her that is. It really doesn't strengthen Philly as much. Alpha Philly is off the coast at this time. We'll have to watch for redevelopment. CMC for 72 pretty much shows kind of the same thing with all the systems. Um, Icon 987 a little bit stronger, probably closer to 50 knots. Let's go to 120. 989, probably borderline hurricane at this time on the CMC. Icon shows 1,003 and the other system very close together at this time. GFS and 1,003. I also feel like it could actually be the weakness that actually helps drag it out, make sure no ridging forms to the north. I mean, which I think is pretty likely right now. We can go to 144 and 168. Pretty much stalls it. I mean, at this time frame, CMC Opophilia is definitely to the southwest, where there's more ridging on the CMC. That's interesting. Still very, very doubtful anything that could actually hit land, but there's the icon. Well, let's look at AFSA for this time frame. It's at 986. Could actually be close to a hurricane. Actually, 57 knots based on this model. AFSB is 996 and 47 knots. Let's look at H1. 1,000 millibars and 35 knots. GFS at this time it's 1,004 and 38 knots. So not much strengthening is expected on the GFS, but there's some strengthening on some of the AFS and some of the IPCN models. Definitely. 162, only 998. Pretty weak on the GFS, but again, it's a global. I mean, what do you really expect? HWRF 988. I'm gonna say it's more likely to be on the higher end. I mean, it's probably gonna be a borderline hurricane in 5, 6, 7 days, in my opinion. So it's most definitely gonna hit out the sea. But it could also be weak if there's more influence of the tut, which could be what some of these models are seeing. Um, as for opophilia, let's look at AFSS for opophilia at 986 millibars. It actually reformed something. I mean, probably even a hurricane on this model. Let's go to 96. 1006. Well, anyway, we don't expect anything else to really form in the Eastern Pacific. A little bit of a disturbance behind 14, but I don't expect anything to form. Well, that's your tropical update for tonight.